The 16th of May 1943, 23:28 hours. Möhne Reservoir, Germany. The water is flat as glass. Moonlight slides across it in a thin silver sheet, unbroken, silent, almost peaceful. The dam rises at the far end of the reservoir, vast, curved, immovable, its concrete face swallowing the darkness behind it. Then the night begins to vibrate, not the distant hum of high bombers cruising safely above the clouds. This sound is wrong, intimate, violent, engines tearing through the valley itself, echoing off the hillsides like an approaching storm trapped at ground level. A sentry on the dam stiffens. He looks up, confused, because aircraft are never this low, never this loud, never this close. Out of the darkness, the bomber explodes into view. A 4-engine RAF Lancaster, blacked out and massive, skims across the reservoir at barely 60 feet. Its propellers claw the air, whipping spray into pale arc behind it. The aircraft shadow races alongside, stretched and distorted across the water like something alive. Inside the cockpit, the world is narrowed to 3 things: airspeed, altitude, distance. Nothing else exists. The pilot's hands are locked on the control column, knuckles white, muscles rigid. One correction too much, one instinctive pull, and the Lancaster will cartwheel into the water, killing everyone aboard before a single German shell lands. Beneath the fuselage, 2 spotlights burn. Their beams strike the surface of the reservoir at separate points, too far apart. The pilot eases a nose down. The reflections slide closer together, trembling on the black water. Closer, closer. They touch. That is a height. Exactly 60 feet. Perfect. Or fatal. Floodlights erupt along the dam. The valley is torn open by white light. Beams slash upward and lock onto the Lancaster, pinning it in sudden brilliance. Anti-aircraft guns answer instantly. Trace of fire claws into the sky, red and orange streaks snapping past the cockpit, past the wings, past the tail. The rear gunner shouts a warning. The flight engineer watches gauges flicker. No one looks back. There is nothing behind them now. Only the wall. The bomb aim lies flat in the nose, pressed against the glass, staring straight ahead. The dam grows impossibly large, filling the windscreen, a wall rushing toward them at more than 200 miles an hour. He does not count seconds. He counts distance. Steady. The pilot says, voice calm, almost unreal. The Lancaster holds its line, skimming the surface. Flak bursts close enough to rock the aircraft. A shell rips through fabric and metal on the wingtip. The bomber shudders, but keeps flying. The concrete face now dominates everything. This is a point where instinct should take over. Pull up. Turn away. Survive. Training smothers instinct. Now. The release thumps through the airframe. The weapon drops. For a fraction of a second, it disappears. Then it hits the water. And bounces. Once. Clean. Perfect. Throwing spray skyward. Twice. Skipping forward with unnatural grace, spinning backward exactly as its designer promised. The Lancaster roars overhead, clearing the crest of the dam by yards. The pilot slams the throttles forward and wrenches the aircraft into a brutal turn, diving away down the valley as trace of fire tears through the space they occupied seconds earlier. Behind them, the bomb strikes the wall. There is a pause, a single stretched heartbeat. Then the explosion hammers the dam's face, a deep, muffled concussion that sends a towering column of water skyward. The valley shakes. Concrete cracks, but the wall still stands. For now, inside the escaping bomber, no one speaks. They already know what that moment means. If the dam did not break, someone else must try. And someone else already is. Out over the reservoir, another Lancaster drops lower. Another pair of spotlights converges on the water. Another crew commits to the same impossible run, knowing exactly how exposed they are, knowing exactly what happened to the aircraft before them. This is not a bombing raid. It is repetition under fire. A test of nerve, precision, and belief. They called the idea madness. They laughed at it in briefing rooms. But tonight, bombs are bouncing, and the dam is beginning to weaken. Winter 1942. England. The room is warm with cold heat and skepticism. Blueprints sprawl across the table, curved trajectories where straight lines should be, calculations that seem to insult common sense. Senior officers sit back, arms folded, faces carefully blank. They have buried too many crews to indulge fantasies. At the center stands Barnes Wallis. He does not shout. He does not sell. He explains. A cylindrical weapon, he says, tapping the drawing, imparted with backspin, released at low altitude. It will skip across water, over torpedo nets, into the Dan. A pause. Then a short laugh breaks the silence. Skipping bombs, someone mutters. Like stones. Wallis nods once. Precisely. The objections come fast and sharp. Dams are thick, curved, reinforce to survive catastrophe. Torpedo nets protect the approaches. Flak towers dominate the walls. And the delivery profile, straight, low, slow, reads like a casualty report waiting to be written. Training alone will kill men. Operational losses will be worse. The idea is dismissed, then reopened, then dismissed again, until the numbers are run. If the dams fall, the Ruhr floods, power stations drown, rail lines vanish, coal production collapses, factories stall not for days, but for months. One breach could do what thousands of sorties cannot. The laughter dies. Approval comes quietly, without ceremony. Sealed orders, narrow distribution, no headlines. A new unit is formed in secrecy, number 617 Squadron RAF. Crews are handpicked, experienced, aggressive, precise. Their RAF Lancasters are stripped and rebuilt, turrets removed, bomb bays open to cradle a strange spinning drum that looks nothing like a bomb at all. Training is merciless. Night after night, aircraft skim English reservoirs at mast height. Hills loom without warning. Mist becomes lethal. Pilots learn to fly by muscle memory and nerve, not instruments. 2 spotlights are bolted beneath each wing, crude, improvised. When their beams touch on the water, the aircraft is at exactly 60 feet. 10 feet too high, the weapon fails. 10 feet too low, the aircraft dies. Crashes happen. Men are buried without explanation. No one complains. They fly again. At the squadron's head stands Guy Gibson, calm, exacting, unsentimental. He promises no miracles, only clarity. Runs will be precise. Timing absolute. Hesitation will kill faster than flak. When the final briefing comes, the room is silent. 3 targets. Möhne, Edersee. The operation's name sounds almost gentle. Operation Chastise. No one is fooled. Across the channel, German engineers sleep easily. The dams have stood for decades. Their defenses are layered. Their walls are thick. The idea that aircraft could destroy them at night, flying low and straight, is dismissed outright. Madness. Back in England, engines are warmed. Maps are folded. Letters are written and tucked away. Because the idea everyone mocked is no longer theory. It is aircraft. It is men. And it has a date. The 16th of May 1943. 23:10 hours. Ruhr Valley Airspace. The hills come first. They rise out of the darkness without warning, black shapes rushing up to meet the Lancaster's nose. The pilot eases the throttles, sinking lower still, flying with the land rather than above it. Trees blur beneath the fuselage. A farmhouse flashes past a port wing, close enough to touch. Inside the cockpit, silence hardens. Everyone knows this is the most dangerous phase of the mission. Not the dam, not the flak. This, threading a 4-engine bomber through terrain at night, below radar, below reason. The navigator glances at his stopwatch. The luminous hands align. Ahead, the valley opens. The reservoir spreads wide and dark, a mirror waiting to betray them. And at its far end, the dam appears, pale, curved, massive, already bristling with defenses. Floodlights snap on. The night is ripped open by white glare. Beams lock onto the Lancaster instantly, pinning it in brilliance. Anti-aircraft guns answer with brutal speed. Flak bursts punch the sky. Tracer rounds slash upward in red and orange arcs, tearing past the cockpit and tail. The Lancaster does not climb. It sinks. Lower. The pilot nudges the nose down until the twin spotlights beneath the wings carve 2 trembling scars on the water's surface. The reflections slide inward. Too high. Adjust. Too low. Adjust again. They meet. 60 feet. Exactly. The bomb aimer presses flat against the nose glazing, eyes fixed on the damn wall racing toward them. The sense of speed is overwhelming now, water screaming beneath them, concrete swelling to fill the windscreen. Trace of fire intensifies. A burst rips through the starboard wing. The aircraft jolts. Warning lights flicker, then steady. The flight engineer's hand hovers, ready to call it. He doesn't. Hold it. The pilot says, voice iron flat. This is the point of no return. Every instinct screams to pull up, to break away, to live. Training crushes instinct. Stand by. The Lancaster roars straight at the wall. Now! The release thumps. The weapon drops, spinning backward as it strikes the water. Spray erupts in a white arc. The bomb skips. Once, clean and perfect. Then again, racing toward the dam as if guided by rails. The Lancaster clears the crest by yards. The pilot slams the throttles forward and hurls the aircraft into a savage turn, diving down the valley as trace of fire chews through the space they occupied seconds earlier. Behind them, the bomb hits. The explosion is deep and unnatural, a violence contained underwater before bursting outward. A towering column of water surges up the dam's face. The shockwave rattles the escaping bomber. Inside the cockpit, no one cheers. They look back. The dam still stands. Cracked, scarred, but standing, which means the arithmetic remains brutal. Another Lancaster is already lining up. Then another. The reservoir becomes a killing ground. One aircraft takes a direct hit on its run. It vanishes in a blinding flash, wreckage scattering across the water. No parachutes, no voices, just empty air where crew existed moments before. The next pilot does not hesitate. He drops lower. Spotlights meet. Bomb away. Again the weapon skips. Again it strikes. Again the dam absorbed the punishment, groaning, flexing, wounded beyond its design. Hairline fractures spread like veins across the concrete face. Water begins to seep through places that were solid minutes before. Inside a circling Lancaster, a crewman grips the window frame, breath held. The dam shudders. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the concrete gives. A section collapses inward with a grinding roar. The reservoir surges forward, pouring through the breach in a white, unstoppable torrent. Millions of tons of water hurl themselves into the valley below. The impossible has happened. The dam is broken, but there is no time to absorb it. Fuel is low. Aircraft are missing. And in another valley, another dam still stands. The night is not finished asking for blood. The 16th of May 1943. After midnight, central Germany. The sound comes first. A low, advancing roar rolls through the valleys downstream of the Möhne, deeper than thunder, constant, growing. Windows rattle in villages miles away. Dogs howl. People wake with the uneasy certainty that something vast is moving in the dark. Then the water arrives, not as a wave, but as a wall, black, violent, unstoppable. It tears trees from their roots and hurls them like splinters. Bridges snap and vanish. Rail lines twist and buckle as a flood smashes into them. Power stations are swallowed whole, turbines choking as a Ruhr's electrical heartbeat stutters and dies. Factories go dark, not because of bombs, because water has found its way inside the wall. Above it all, the raid splinters. Lancasters peel away from the Möhne in small groups or alone, radios crackling with clipped call signs and long, ominous silences. Some turn south toward the Eder Dam, threading valleys so narrow they feel like traps. The Eder is worse. No straight approach. No forgiving run. The valley twists sharply, forcing pilots to dive, climb, and bank hard in total darkness before leveling out at the last possible second. Floodlights snap on. Flak erupts. Trace of fire claws past the cockpit as a Lancaster drops even lower, so close to the water that its shadow races along the hillside beside it. The spotlights beneath the wings burn twin scars across the reservoir. They meet. Bomb away. The weapon skips, but the dam is earth-filled, not solid concrete. The explosion shakes the valley, throwing water and debris skyward. The wall holds. Another run. Another aircraft. One Lancaster clips a hillside and disintegrates in a blinding flash, the shockwave rolling through the valley. The crew behind it flies straight through the smoke without breaking away. They cannot stop now. At last, after repeated strikes, The Eder gives way. The earthen wall slumps, then collapses, releasing a second torrent that races towards sleeping towns downstream, places that will be drowning before dawn. Farther east, surviving crews reach the Sorp Dam. This is the hardest target of all. An earth dam defended heavily. It cannot be attacked with a bounce. The bomb must be dropped directly along the crest. Straight, level, exposed, under sustained fire. The Lancasters line up anyway. Run after run. Flak chews into wings and fuselages. One bomb detonates too far out. Another strikes but fails to break the wall cleanly. The dam shudders, wounded but defiant. Eventually, enough damage is inflicted to force emergency repairs. Not a dramatic breach, but a strategic wound that will drain manpower and resources for months. As the surviving aircraft turn for home, the eastern sky begins to pale. Fuel gauges hover near zero. Engines run rough. Crews fly by calculation and faith, skimming terrain to avoid fighters that arrive too late, or not at all. Over the North Sea, the tension finally loosens. The darkness thins. England emerges from the haze like a promise kept. At bases across the country, ground crews count aircraft as they land. They stop counting too soon. 19 cross the coast. 8 are missing. 53 men are gone. The survivors climb down in silence, faces gray, eyes distant, uniforms stiff with sweat and fear. They know what the night has taken. They also know what it has done. Across Germany, sirens wail as floodwaters tear through valleys. Repair crews scramble. Defenses multiply around every dam, every bridge, every structure once assumed safe. But something essential has already been lost. Certainty. Because if walls like these can fall, what else can? The 17th of May 1943. Dawn. England. The airfields wake under a thin skin of mist. Runways glisten. Engines idle. Men stand with clipboards and watches, eyes fixed on the eastern sky. Every distant speck is counted. Every silhouette is judged. Too small, too slow, too late. Then a Lancaster appears. It comes in low, wounded, oil streaking its fuselage. Wheels touch concrete. The aircraft rolls to a stop and exhales smoke and heat. The crew climbs down stiffly, faces pale, eyes unfocused, alive by margins no one can quite explain. Another arrives, then another. Some are missing sections of wing. Some trail hydraulic fluid. One lands so hard its undercarriage nearly folds. Ground crews run, shouting, pulling chocks into place. They count, and then they stop. The number is wrong. 19 aircraft crossed the coast. 8 did not return. 53 men are gone. In briefing rooms, the maps are marked with blunt precision. Möhne, breached. Eder, breached. Sorp, damaged. Blue pencil lines snake through the Ruhr, tracing flood paths that have swallowed power stations, rail hubs, factories. The assessments are chloride. Industrial output disrupted. Electrical generation crippled. Repairs already underway. The damage will not last forever. The meaning will. Across Germany, emergency crews work without pause. Prisoners and forced labor are driven to the dams under floodlights. Concrete is poured day and night. Anti-aircraft guns multiply around every reservoir, every bridge, every structure once assumed to be beyond reach. But the landscape of certainty has shifted. Because now the question is not if something can be defended, but how long. Back in Britain, a quiet man studies the reports alone. Barnes Wallis does not celebrate. He understands the arithmetic too well. Men lost to prove equations correct, lives traded to turn theory into fact. The idea once dismissed as madness has done what brute force could not. It has changed assumptions. For the men of No. 617 Squadron IAF, the night becomes legend and burden intertwined. They will never again be ordinary aircrew. They will be called for the hardest targets, the narrowest margins, the missions where precision matters more than survival. History will remember the spectacle. The spinning bombs, the shattered walls, the floodwaters tearing through valleys in the dark. But those who were there remember something smaller. The twin spotlights touching on black water. The moment when there was no escape left, only faith in training, in mathematics, in the men beside you. They called it madness. They laughed at it, until the bombs learned to bounce. And in doing so, broke more than concrete. They broke the belief that some targets were untouchable. Once that belief is gone, the war is never the same.